and this of course is not going to cooperate, that don't factor. And this is actually more often the case than not. It's actually pretty in any science or real life situation where you might actually use math, it's not going to factor. So this is where this is going to come in. So when we were doing vertex form, I wrote this on the board, and this is called our standard form as opposed to our vertex form. And we were identifying C even though we weren't using it. A is always the thing in front of x squared. B is always the thing in front of x. And C is always the constant term. There is no x. We need to identify those in order to solve a quadratic. So here's our example to go through. We have x squared plus 9x equals 136. Now, the quadratic formula is actually what we're going to use to solve this. So we do need to use the zero property, so we get everything to one side, just like as if we were going to factor it. So we're going to subtract this 136, and we get equals 0. Now, I'm going to use the quadratic formula in one of two cases. Case 1, I don't know how to factor it. I look at this and I'm like, I don't know how to factor this. This actually is factorable. But if it's going to take me more time to figure out how to factor it than use quadratic formula, I'm going to use the quadratic formula. The second case is simply it can't factor.
These are your possibilities.
Those are your two possibilities when you're going to use this formula I'm about to give you. Alright, so what is the formula? This does factor. But we're going to pretend that it doesn't. So, x equals, you need to memorize this by the way, negative b plus or minus, that means I'm going to have to account for both cases, plus or minus, the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Memorize. That means for your homework, when you're doing classwork, you are writing this formula down. Every single time you use it, that'll help you memorize it. For the most part, for these problems, all you do is choose A, B, and C, put in the numbers, and simplify. So, in this example, what is A?
A is 1.
And what is B?
9.
And what is C?
136.
Negative 136. I take the sum of the number. Now I'm not going to have enough room to do all of it, so I'll do a lot of erasing, so try to keep up. So I write my quadratic formula down. I wrote it up here, so I'm not going to copy again just to save room. Negative b is negative 9. Plus or minus. Square root. Now I'm going to put all the things in. B squared would be 9 squared. Minus 4. Times A. A is 1. And C is negative 136. All over 2 times A. That's 2 times 1. Now I followed the order of operations. Usually we will get a decimal. So you are going to need your calculators. Alright, so that won't happen in this case because I told you to factor. Alright, so negative 9 plus or minus. Order of operations says squares first. So 9 squared is?
81.
81. And then I can do this at the same time, can't I?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Yes, I can. So what's negative 4 times 1 times negative 136?
544.
So I add plus 5.
That's 4.
544 you said, right?
Yes, sir.
All over 2. Okay?
Where did you get the 2?
Because
All I've done, please, is I've taken 1, 9, and negative 36 and put it into this formula. That is it. That is all I've done, and now I'm simplifying, following the I'm going to do multiple things, and then after I've done it all, if you still have a question, I'll take it. Alright, so All I'm doing simplifying, class. All I did was put in the numbers. Now you know the order of operations, so all we have to do is follow them. Do not make it unnecessarily hard. All right, so what's 81 plus 544?
625.
All over 2.
312.5.
Okay, so what is the square root of 625?
25.
It is now at this point that I have to do one thing that's not very tricky, but you could make it tricky if you wanted. This is a plus or minus. That means I need to split it into the two cases. X could equal -9 plus 25 over 2, or X could equal -9 minus 25 over 2.
Where did you get 625?
I'm following the order of operations. 81 plus 544 is 625.
Well, when I put that in my calculator, I got straight. When I put 9 squared minus 4 times 1 times -136, I got 25.
That's because it did all the problems.
Yeah, it did it all.
So we don't have to go through the.
No, you need to go through these steps. All right. What's -9 plus 25?
16.
Okay, and 16 divided 2 is 8. Or -9 minus 25 is -36. Is that right? 34. So -17 after I divide by 2. And those are my two answers. So we see that this could have factored with a -8 and a +17. But I might not have seen this because 136 is actually a pretty big number. All right, we're going to try one now where we cannot, factoring wouldn't even have been an option. That it absolutely would have been impossible. Okay? Now I'm going to leave this formula up here in this A just for reference. Yes.
You said, why is, oh, never mind, I was looking at the problem wrong.
Okay.
Don't want to erase the right side yet. At the bottom right now.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So here's our next example, and this is one where factoring would not even be a possibility, even if I wanted to. I mean, I would try it, but I'd try it quickly in my head. I would think of the obvious factors of 32, 4 and 8, and maybe 2 and 16. And I see quickly that I can't get a 20 from that combination. I'm not going to sit there and pull my hair out. I'm going to go right to quadratic. If I cannot figure out how to factor it, I'm going to go right to this quadratic formula. It's a lot of writing, but I mean, in the time it takes to write this and do it, even if I could factor this, if I didn't see it, it would come out the same. All right, so what is A?
A equals 1.
And what is B?
Negative.
-20. And what is C? 32. Remember, take the sign in front of the number. So, negative B would be what? 20. So this switches signs, right? So 20 plus or minus square root. Now I'm going to fill in all the stuff. In parentheses, so -20 squared minus 4 times A is 1 times C is +32 all over 2 times 1. And now I follow the order of operations. So, order of operations. What is -20 squared?
400.
400. And then I can go ahead and do this. What's -4 times 1 times 32?
128, or -128.
-128 all over 2a. So 2, because 2 times. Now, some students end up forgetting this and start just writing a 2 down here all the time. It is 2 times a. Usually a is a 1, but sometimes it's not, so you do need to watch out for that. Alright, so we have 20 plus or minus square root. What's 400 minus 128?
272.
Huh?
272.
272 you said? All over 2. Alright, now I'm going to split this up. You could do this square root at this point. Do you want to do the square root now or later?
Now,
Alright, so let's do the square root now. So what's the square root of 272? Now, 3 decimal places.
16.492.
16.492.
492.
Divided by 2. Alright, I'm going to erase this stuff over on this side.
I'm done.
And now we're going to split that to the 2 cases. X equals 20 plus 16.492 divided by 2. Or x equals 20 minus 16.492 divided by 2.
And then you solve those two, and those 2 answers that you gave would be your answer.
Yes, those are the 2. Alright, so, what do I get here? We get 20 plus 16 is around 36.
36.492. Divided by 2.
Divided by 2.
18.246.
Okay, and this one?
Divided by 2. That would be 1.754.
And these are my 2 answers. Okay? Let's do one where A is not 1.
Is
Okay.
that going to be complicated?
No, it's no harder than any of the others. It's just, seriously, it's just put in the numbers into the formula. But you must memorize this formula. You had a question, Colton. Oh, okay. All right, here we go. Example. And then you are going to do some, well, I think that's enough. We'll do some book work.
So we're now getting into very extensive, many steps, having to be sure that you plug in each thing.
Very careful. All right. Before, this is very tempting to say A is 4, B is 24, and C is 8. But I need to remember, I need to use the zero property, so get everything to one side.
So basically, if you see an equal sign with a number on the other side, you know that that is not right.
Right. And we also need to get everything in the right order. That's why it was important earlier to get things in order. So I don't know if you can see this all in your head, but I'm subtracting the 8A and I'm subtracting the 24. You can think of it like this: switch sides, switch signs.
Can you
Yes.
just take a 4 out of that? Out of
Well, you piece of poo. Yes, you can. Coleman is right. We could divide all these by 4.
Would that make it easier?
It would make it a ton easier. Let's do it.
Or are you going to do that originally, or?
I was not intending for that to happen. So so that made it
A lot easier.
that actually made it a lot easier. If I can divide something in all of these, I can go ahead and do that. Notice it divided all of them equally. So now, you notice how this isn't x? I mean, it's a. Don't let the variable confuse you. What is a as in the constant a? The thing in front of the squared term. 1. Okay, even though the variable is a, it doesn't change. I'm talking about the constant. This a represents the constant in front of a squared. B represents the constant in front of the x term, which is in this case an a.
Wouldn't it,
And c equals -6.
wouldn't it be negative a squared,
No.
negative 1, because you subtracted the...
I subtracted 8 and I subtracted 24. I left this on the side that it's on. Alright, so now I go to my quadratic formula. So negative b is 2 plus or minus square root of -2 squared. Notice I'm putting that in parentheses. If I don't put that in parentheses and I put it in my calculator, I'll get a wrong answer. You must put it in parentheses. Minus 4
Times 1.
times
-6. Over 2 times 1.
Okay. So 2 plus or minus 4 plus 24. Right? I wrote a 28 because I was getting ahead of myself there.
Mr. Kane, I'm about to do one big one. I'm about to see
And you guys said you like taking the square root at this step. That is certainly okay. So we will, I'm going to do it in, just to save myself some space. This would be 2 plus, what's the square root of 28? You're the ones with calculators, what's the square root of 28?
5.292.
292. Ah, yeah.
29.
Well, couldn't you round to 2? 5.10?
5.292.
292. Okay, there we go.
I said 3 decimal places.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
292. All divided by 2. And x equals 2 minus 5.292 divided by 2. So what do we get for this?
Well, if you're thinking about 4.472,
3.646.
well, then go with what she said, because I just did mine in one big piece, and I got 4.7.
292 plus 2 divided
I get
by...
3.65.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And this one I get x equals negative 1.65. About. The book doesn't give me the third decimal place. The book says round to the nearest hundredth, but in order to round to the nearest hundredth, earlier in the work I have to have the thousandth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, I can't round to this place if I don't have a place before it to use to round. Alright, I did want to do one where where the A didn't just end up going away. So let me find one where that's the case. Okay, here we go. Yes. This one will be good.
Oh, for your race. What is this, man? Right here. What'd you get? What is this?
It's called I messed up. I did this. You see right here? I did that.
Yeah, I see that.
And divided by 2. And this is what I got. That splotch means nothing because it was a mistake.
Okay, so write that down.
Yes. Okay. One where the A does not go away.
Make sure
Here we go. Yeah. And it is not factorable. Alright, so 7x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0. So everything's to one side. What's A? What's B?
-2.
What's C?
-8.
And then I put those in my formula. I want you to go ahead and do it. Do not look, copy this down. Do it. I'm putting the answer up here.
So don't look up.
Don't look up.
Well, wait. Put the right from right there.
Copy it down. Don't look up. I'm going to put the answer here, and then we're going to our book, and you're doing a bunch of problems on your own.
Let me write it down.
So A, 7.
I'm still trying to catch up with the last problem. So,
It's like red waffles. I know we have to.
This part would be very annoying if I were watching this video. Like, go ahead and tell me the answer,
So
because...
can Noah hear you and see what you're writing?
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
Alright, I'm putting the answer up just so that I can end this for Noah's sake or whoever happens to be sick and miss this lesson. There's the answer in the end. That's a negative 0.94. And now I can stop this. But I want you to go ahead and do your work, see if you get those answers.
Why did you do weird X's?
Because I can, and that's the way it is.
Okay.
Alright, how do I stop this? I don't know.
Ken, what are you recording with?
This software, the mini studio notebook.
Oh.
It just comes with a notepad.
what up, Noah?